Well, listen, we are so excited to have you on the podcast today for many reasons. I know during my time at Highlands, anytime that they would say Beth Cunningham is coming in to speak, it was like the whole room was leaning in and excited to hear you speak because you bring such a fresh perspective to things. You are one of the most passionate leaders and engaging leaders when you talk as well.
That's really
And you
kind.
have so many different experiences that you, I think, have in your past ministry experience from being a worship leader, if I'm correct.
Yep.
What?
Was that
I
the
never
first
knew
job?
That was my first job.
First job as a worship leader.
Right. I majored in music right out of
Did you?
college. That was my first job.
Play any
in church
instruments?
stuff. I'm a poor piano player, but my degree was in voice performance. So, yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Should we get you to sing us a song on the podcast?
Right. I don't think so. I don't think so.
Do you do any worship leading now?
Okay. Fun fact. I think it's worship leading, but I sit on a floor every Monday with moms and babies and we sing all kind of things. 18 years, shout out Baby Praise.
Baby Praise.
It's still rolling all these years
That's
later,
awesome.
but no, not officially.
Okay.
I lead worship from the front row.
Yeah,
How about
you do.
that?
Yeah, you do. So you started off as a worship leader.
Yes.
And then, from my understanding, became an executive assistant
Yes.
at Church of the Highlands.
Right.
Was that your first role here?
That was my first role at Highlands.
Okay.
I came on team in 2007. I was hire number 50. I remember
Number
that
50.
fun fact. But yeah, I hired on as an executive assistant to Pastor Steve Blair. Steve and Renee are my husband. They're our best friends in the world. So
Amazing
that was
people.
really incredible for Steve and I to get to work together for 4 years. I was his executive assistant. I tell people I think we hire at Highlands a lot better than we did back then because I couldn't type or work an Excel spreadsheet or do many administrative things. But yet I found myself on team.
There you go.
Serving Pastor Steve, just trying to fill in the gaps in
That's
a time
awesome.
when the church was growing really fast. So
Yeah.
it was a ton of fun.
That's awesome. So that was 2007, you said?
Yep.
Okay. And then after that, you moved from being the executive assistant, Pastor Steve,
Yes.
to then overseeing Highlands Kids.
Correct.
Is that correct?
That's correct.
And so I know we were just talking, you guys have 26 campuses now,
Right.
which
Yes.
is amazing.
Incredible.
So at that time, whenever you stepped in to oversee all of Highlands Kids, how many campuses did y'all have?
Right. When I stepped into kids, we were at 12 locations
12.
is what I'm remembering.
Wow.
It was a lot.
Yeah.
It was a lot. And such an interesting kind of decision. I think it's really fascinating to think about Pastor Chris's leadership skills or the way he thinks, because he took a person who had zero experience in children's ministry. I mean, other than like serving at Vacation Bible School with my own children when they were little.
Right.
And I think there was like a 2-year stint when we lived in Mississippi when I, like you're a mom, you want your kids to go to a certain preschool. So you're teaching in a 3-year-old classroom to pay for it. You know what I mean? Like for 2 years. Right. But I had no church children's ministry experience. And so here my lead pastor is calling me into his office and saying, I want you to go home. I want you to pray about becoming the children's pastor at our church. That's fascinating on so many levels.
Did he say why? Why he thought you were the
said at
person?
the time that he had been waiting for the right spot for me.
Oh, wow.
You know, like I've been waiting for the right thing. So maybe he saw a leadership in my life, but we had made a joke about Baby Praise. I tell people Baby Praise is the reason I became the children's pastor at Church of the Highlands, because we had an opening come up in kids. And I don't know if it was Pastor Lane or Pastor Steve. One of them said to Pastor Chris, I think you should think about Beth for this role. And this is the story I've been told. And he's like, Beth loves marriage and family, because I had been helping Pastor Steve so much in like the marriage and family space. And one of them said, well, she leads the largest small group in the church with the moms and the babies. And he's like, he called it for years, he would call it my Itsy Bitsy group, because he'd hear us singing Itsy Bitsy Spider. And that is how.
Wow.
Because it didn't matter. It's always been fascinating. I've always thought about this when I'm trying to help other churches think differently about staffing and roles. It didn't matter that I didn't have experience in that area. What mattered to him was that he had a leader he saw potential in, and he knew I had a love for the demographic.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that was enough.
That was enough.
Yeah.
That was enough. And so I think so many times, we're thinking about roles and the right people. So many times I think we're looking for, I think the heart of the house is so much more valuable than sometimes even past experience in an area. So I went into being the children's pastor at a very large mega church with no experience in kids ministry. And it was a journey. It was fun.
So obviously you loved kids and you were serving and leading in kids. Is there anything that you feel like you did really well in your season as an executive assistant that they said, hey, now we can trust Beth to not just be over this and not just be over a ministry at one campus, but to be over a ministry at 12 different campuses?
I think my encouragement to anyone would be, so many times we allow our roles, like on a job description or our titles or things like that, to define who we are. And I think for me, and maybe it was the gift of Highlands at the time, like so many people that are probably on the ministry journey, the church was growing really fast. No one was thinking about who did what. We were just trying to get the job done, right? Which left a lot of room for, I always like, if there's a need and I can fill it, I'm going to fill it. So there was a lot of, I don't know that I always asked permission. I just stepped in to help, like never thinking I would be doing anything else, never looking for another role per se, more of, I want to be faithful. I can remember, Pastor Steve, back then we were doing premarital in the office, like lots of premarital counseling. And I looked at him one day, I said, you can't do all this. I said, I'm going to take half of your premarital roles. Like, I'm just going to take them. He looked at me for a minute, because obviously too, at the time, I don't know that any woman had ever done that at the church. And he's like, I'm like, look, I've been married a long time. Let me just do this. And so I just started helping where I could help, for the sheer help of helping. Like, let me just go in to serve. And I think that over time, that probably your gifts will make room for you. I think so many times we discount the dream team serve, or the serve in all of us. And we lock ourselves into a job description or a role, and we forget that God's equipped you with passions and calling, and he makes space for those.
I think, man, you just said something that just that resonated with me. I think a lot of times leaders are looking for a new opportunity or a new position, a new title, this, that, whatever. But I love that you just were proactive and you saw a need. Serving is like, you see a need, you meet it. You see something needs to be done, you just do it. And teammates or leaders or staff members, whatever, that have that kind of proactive tenacity to just say, there's something, I'm going to take that off your plate and mine. There's always space for a person like that on our team. I'm like, man, if we had more leaders that were like that, rather than waiting for someone to say, hey, could you do this? Could you take this off my plate? And I love that. That's like one of the most promotable qualities in leaders. When you
I would rather have someone that you have to like pull the reins back on.
100%.
Totally.
And be like, hey, actually, please, like, don't solve that problem right now, or don't go and do that, rather than feeling like you're having to move people along.
Push. I always think, like, I don't know that I was a good executive assistant because I didn't have a lot of administrative skills. What I was good at, and I would say this to anyone who's serving a leader, especially in one of those types of capacities, my job description was, I'm going to help make my leader successful.
Fantastic.
That was the overall filter. And so if that meant I had a talent or gifting that I could step in and help make him successful, then that was the filter. And if there were things I couldn't do, I found someone to help get the job done. And so I think that probably made room for the things that would come later.
That's fantastic. That's great.
Amazing.
Are you an executive leader looking to level up? Or are you leading a team that could use a crash course into effective leadership? Our Leadership Masterclass teaches 7 essential leadership skills that you can implement immediately with your team. These are practical, proven strategies to help you lead with clarity and confidence. If you're ready to transform your leadership, sign up today at sidecarleader.com and get started with resources that you can use right away.
So I heard this number the other day, and I don't know if it's true or if you can correct me, but I heard that Highlands has 5,000 kids volunteers a month that's scheduled. Is that?
I mean, we have 40, right at 4,900 active people on the Highlands Kids Dream Team. Yes, between 4,800 and 5,000. That would be an accurate number. That's wild. That's wild, right?
I mean, there's churches that would dream to be that big.
That's
reaching that many people.
A miracle. Yes.
Well, I want to talk to you about recruiting for a second, because I tell people all the time, at least from my perspective as a church planner, the hardest ministry that tried to recruit volunteers for has been kids ministry.
Sure.
It's a challenge. Most church planners that we talk to, or even existing churches, they just struggle with that.
Yes.
So I've heard you say before, like, you've got to go into the recruiting kind of place with a confidence, not an insecurity.
Yes.
Like, speak to that a little bit.
Yeah, I think I always think people are attracted to confidence. They're repelled by desperation. And so often children's ministry can have a desperate air about it.
Oh, yeah.
And if
Please
we're
come
not
back there.
right, I mean, it's like, oh my gosh.
Well, that's not inspiring.
Who wants to be a part of Desperate? No one. Even people who are called to it are going to run from it, you know? And so
That's good.
when I first stepped into kids, I sweated a lot of things. Like, I really worked on language, culture, and not to even step on toes, but there are words we use in churches like nursery worker. I'm like, that is horrible.
Yeah.
Like it's like you're clogging. And I don't mean to be dismissive of the past.
We don't use that at our church.
But
do we?
that's like, you know what I'm saying? Like but that mentality kind of existed around kids, or you had come from places where by virtue of birthing a child, you now are forced to serve. So you're kind of already overcoming people's pre-existing hurdles. And so you already have that to overcome. And so we really worked really hard and still work hard on being an attractional, highly vision, highly storytelling ministry, because it's like, if I don't see it for myself as a leader, how am I going to help them see it?
It's great.
And I think in kids especially, you have to train your team to be master story collectors and master storytellers, because stories are happening all the time. But we have to have eyes to see and ears to hear. Like, there's a miracle that happens for a family when a toddler who's struggling finally makes it through a service. And if we don't stop and celebrate those stories, we miss that energy that helps someone want to be a part of a team.
What does that look like practically? Like, let's say to like our audience is listen to this. What is the language? What's some of the language that you would use to articulate vision rather than need that would capture their heart?
Yes. So I think a lot of times what we talk about is there's multiple layers of vision casting. One, I want to shout out the power of the pulpit. So the power of the pulpit is important, but it's important only in using it sparingly, carefully, and with the right vision. So good example, years ago when I first stepped into kids, we had gotten our volunteer numbers, dream team numbers back to a healthy place, but we were struggling with men. Pastor Chris emailed me, you got everything you need. I said, well, you know what? Actually, I could use some more adult males. He said, the numbers are good. It's turned around, but needs some more adult males. That Sunday in his message, he works in the story of the fifth grade teacher. And then he says, right now down the hallway, awesome. My 18-year-old son is sitting on a floor with some third graders right now. And literally that back then was step 4 of the growth track. I think I had 150 males join the team.
Wow.
The power of the messaging, right? So it wasn't need. It's never need. It's like vision for what could be.
Great.
So I think there's that. I think even with how we talk about ourselves, again, how do we describe Highlands Kids? What's the language that we use? Like, this is not just the next generation, it's the now generation. We say there is no junior Holy Spirit. We talk about God speaking to our kids. We share stories of families being changed. What gets celebrated gets replicated. And I think it's so important that we're just constantly putting in front of the people like this ministry. So many times people look at children and we think they're human becomings.
Wow.
Like having raised 2 children myself, right? You're always thinking about their human becomings. But when you help them see these are actually human beings, like their very nature really right now, they can experience Jesus. They can hear from the Lord. They can be used by him. Like, we have to put that message in front of the people all the time because we know it to be true. Right.
So I'm curious if you're, as a leader of a ministry department, whatever it is, you might be faced with, I have a need in my area.
Oh, for sure.
Like, I have rooms that don't have a leader in them right now.
What do I do?
Yeah. How do you overcome that sense of like the feeling of desperation without leading from desperation.
Oh, so great. So, okay, the spiritual answer, then the practical answer. The spiritual answer, that was the ministry I stepped into.
Yeah.
And when we stepped in, like Highlands was so known for this incredibly strong serve culture, but that was not the case in kids. Yeah. And so I knew that's what I was stepping into. And the first thing I had to get was just a confidence from the Lord, which was, I remember the Lord dropped it in my spirit, Beth, I divinely order my house.
That's great.
And I have taught that to our team since I got that word 15 years ago. God divinely orders his house.
That's great.
So if he has trusted you with 100 kids at your campus, if he's trusted you with 1,000 kids, if he's given you 30 kids, by nature of who he is and that he loves those children, he has called, he has gifted the people in the house that are meant to serve them. Then my job is to attract them. So we worked really hard on making sure we were an attractional environment. And then proactively, the practical things I did was I went really hard after students.
Yeah.
I went really hard after students because because I think there's a generational biblical principle that one generation should serve the next generation. Yep. I think every regardless of where a student ends up long term, I think a high school student has something to offer a third grader. Yeah. And I think that third grader wants to hear from that high school student more than they want to hear from me. Yeah. I think God works that way generationally. Yeah. And so in the beginning and still every time we go to open a location, I am looking to recruit and actively work with student ministries to get high school students, even middle school students, but especially high school students serving in kids ministry. Because what that does is it causes the environment, they bring the energy, they bring the sense of like, oh my goodness, I have the right amount of halfway responsible looking adults in this space. So then when the 30-year-old dad steps in the room, he steps into a room that's not overwhelming. Yeah. Right? Because that's what'll happen. Sometimes it's like, oh my gosh, I get this new great leader in kids, but you never feel like you get that point of, man, it's a level playing field. Students help you level that playing field. Yeah.
That's great.
Right? And they're learning and growing. Right? And so that's the first advice I give to, and it's the first strategy we will employ. And man, look how much a student grows. I look at people on our team today, and they're 26, 27 years old, and they started serving in the clubhouse when they were 11 or 12. Yeah. And that's the generational piece too. Yeah, that's awesome. But they all had their season in Highlands Kids where they were learning to be leaders. They were learning to be responsible. They were learning to take care of someone else. Yeah. And like, I think there's so much to that. And I would tell every church, look at your student ministry and ask yourself, are my students actively serving on Sunday? And that's not just true in kids. Yeah. But I think kids is a really great place for a student to be able to exercise a lot of gifts and talents. Yeah. There's so many things they can do in that ecosystem that a parking lot or a greeter is not going to give them that same experience. Yeah.
My son served in kids ministry. So my oldest son, he'll be 16 as we're recording this coming Sunday.
Come on.
And then a 13-year-old son as well. And they both serve in the elementary classroom. They help with leading worship. I mean, they bring the energy, they bring the fun.
And where else are they getting that type of training experience? Yeah. So it's such a win. Always say go after students.
Here at Sidecar Leader, we don't just develop content that we hope adds value to you. Our bread and butter is really our coaching. If you're feeling stuck as a leader, whether you're navigating growth, strategic planning, staffing decisions, or tackling your toughest priorities, our one-on-one coaching sessions are here to guide you. Together, we'll identify the strategies and steps that will take your leadership to the next level. It's time to invest in your growth because your vision and your team deserve it. If you're ready to get started, you can visit sidecarleader.com/coaching. We can't wait to work alongside of you.
That's awesome. That's great.
Let me ask you this, and kind of on the heels of that with recruiting, how do you retain kids, staff, team, volunteers, whatever? Like, I think a lot of times when I talk to church planners or churches under 5 years, they struggle to retain those kids volunteers because sometimes they're on the schedule. Maybe there's not a rotation yet, and they're there every Sunday.
Maybe it's just one service.
Yeah. How do you keep them healthy? Keep them.
The one service thing is big.
The one service thing is real in church planting, right? And I think when I'm working with church planners, one of the things we'll talk through is okay, yes, it's going to probably be a one service. We might be there a year. We might be there 2 years before we get to that 2 services. How are we going to shepherd and care for that kids team? A couple of things would be like an every other week rotation. If we can get to that, let's get to that as soon as possible. But I don't like to stay that way, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But in the church planting season, especially in the first 2 to 3 years of a build, that makes sense. But then I think it's what I would recommend is every kids leader in that space is then hosting a small group every week. In their home, their free market small group expression becomes the team. Then, and the church is giving, I don't care, give $50, whatever it costs, feed them pizza, do something. And every week they are together in somebody's den. Good. They are going to watch the service together. They are going to be a part of the church together. And when that's pastor really or other team members can come by and give presence to that environment, we have seen that work.
That's great.
We have seen that work with our ARC plants through the years when we say, okay, we recognize that we may not be in the room. But the room is not just about that Sunday morning. The room is about the house we're building together as a team, and let's make that space for that team. When you can go to 2 services, I think one of the things people think about when kids ministry and volunteers and retention, they think less is best. I would argue that is not the case. More is best, because why do people serve on any team? They serve for 2 reasons. They want to be needed and they want to be known. When we take this mentality because it's kids and we're like, oh, it's a hard serve. No, it's not. It's incredible, right? So let's remove those things, okay? We got to remove those thoughts. And we say only come once a month. Well, how is that helping me be needed or known?
Right.
That's great.
And then what is that doing to the actual relationship? Because until they care about Johnny and his feelings, till they are around Johnny or Susie enough to know that they're struggling with anxiety, or they just had a major victory in their family, or their parents just got back together, until those things happen, they're not really invested. So we actually think, so we don't like to do the whole first, third, second, and fourth in kids ministry. I don't like any of that. I like to put the whole schedule out, and you be there as much as you can. And because of that, we have incredibly high, not only team engaged, but like they're serving 3-4 times a month. Because they know that like you get enough relationship from the kids and from the team that they actually want to be there.
The team really operates like a small group.
It is.
Itself,
100%. We say HK for life. Like you got to create that community. We have to create that community.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's fantastic. I'm curious, you've led kids and next generation ministries across campuses, and have years of experience underneath you. Are there current shifts that you're seeing within the next generation ministry that people should be aware of? And then with those, like, what are the adaptations that leaders need to make with those shifts? Yeah,
I'm so excited about where we are right now with Gen Z. Obviously, we see, when they're Gen Z, oh, by the way, Gen Z are having children now. Like, so it's like, we're just learning about them, but they're like married. They're like married with babies in your nursery right now. It's so wild. But obviously, we're seeing those drops of early revival happening. Young people are hungry for God. I'm very excited about what we're learning about Generation Alpha. So your oldest Alpha right now is 14, 15. And that's, your Gen Beta. That's what they're calling the next generation. They are just born this year. Okay. So you've got this like from 2 to 14, 15 is your Generation Alpha. What we're learning about them is they're the most diverse generation in human history. Really? Yes, incredibly diverse globally. 1 in 4 of them are growing up without a dad in the home. That's globally. But yet in a lot of Western context, what's interesting about Alpha is we're seeing a rise in single dads bringing children to church in America.
Really?
Churches need to pay attention to that, which kind of coincides with the research that you're seeing, where you're seeing men returning to the church in droves. So some of the latest research is showing us that we're seeing single dads bringing kids to church. Are we ready for that? Because so often we've thought about just single moms, right? Okay. There's some other things that we're learning about Alpha. They value authenticity over everything. So when you think about a kid today that's grown up with like chat, like they can work chat better than me. At 3 years old, they're talking to Alexa. Okay. So knowledge is ubiquitous to them. Like knowledge is everywhere. I am a Gen Xer. Like knowledge was everything, like the encyclopedia, you know what I mean? Like you right. Like the person would come knock on your door, and millennials had the internet, you know what I'm saying? Like, so this knowledge will not be anything to them. because knowledge is everywhere. It's free and it's cheap. Wisdom will be everything.
Wow.
That's great.
Right?
That's great.
And so we have to ask ourselves, they are looking at everyone with a certain amount of skepticism, and a healthy skepticism, I might add.
Yeah.
Is what you're saying true?
Yeah.
Is it real?
Yeah.
And so because of that, I think it's very important that all next gen practitioners stop for a second and ask ourselves, are we creating spaces for children and youth to ask questions? Questions are everything right now in next gen ministry. Yeah. So like millennials were reached by creating great experiences, right? You know, you create a great service tailored to that generation. The Holy Spirit moves. God moves on my heart. My generation, the generation before, was reached by like, we had an assumed truth. Yeah. Right. And that was passed in. You had an experience with Jesus. This generation we're going to have to be comfortable as practitioners with creating spaces for them to ask questions.
Wow.
So like in Highlands Kids, we lead our whole ministry around the power of questions. Our kids spend 20 minutes, 25 minutes sitting in circles, literally just being asked questions.
Wow.
And we let them talk. We don't preach at them.
Yeah.
We present thoughts and then we ask them questions. We present thoughts and then we ask them questions. And if you think about how Jesus taught, that is how he, right? There's a rabbinical style of teaching, but this generation is going to require it.
Yeah.
They are going to require a very authentic, let me ask my questions, because if we don't create those spaces, they will find them outside of the church.
Yeah. Right.
And so we really have to think radically different about faith formation and discipleship with Gen Alpha. I mean, I am so committed to the power of circles with kids.
Yeah.
And making it safe for them to ask questions. Can I share one study?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So there's a famous study. It's called Faith and Families, the Bangston study. It was a 30 or 40-year longitudinal study. And it studied what made transformation of faith happen from generation to generation. Like, what were the key components that said, if Beth and Sean are believers, then our children will most likely be believers. And it was a lot of things. One was like, do I feel close and connected to my family? One was like, what do I see my parents doing? Like, not what do I say, but what do I see them doing? Yeah. Model discipleship is what we would call that. The other super important was the ability to ask questions. And I think that's so powerful for parents to consider. Yeah. It's so powerful for us as the church to consider.
How do you prepare your team because, you know, a lot of times, especially if you get like a newer volunteer, they may feel like they're not prepared to answer questions, or a high school. They're not.
It's
prepared.
Great. No, it's so good.
How do you prepare them?
So it was a radical journey. When we started this in 2019, we totally transformed the way we did kids ministry at Highlands, based on a true commitment to circles, a true commitment to kids having conversations. We really had to train the team, one, on the value of what the research was telling us. Like, we've got to educate them on why this is important. Kids need the opportunity to discover the truth. They need the opportunity to discover who Jesus is. Yeah. We can't just talk at them. We've got to let them discover. And then we have to write really good guides. So we train our team when we're making curriculum. That curriculum is available for every church. HighlandsResources.com, it's free. But when we're making curriculum, we present 2 to 3 questions in every small group block, and we land the plane for our leaders. Yeah. Like, there is a conclusion that they can go to. But what we want our leaders to feel comfortable with is be okay with the wrestle. And for the love, don't say you know when you don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, don't, right? Like, it's
even the authenticity of saying, you know, that's a great question.
I don't know. I had a little girl come up to me a couple of weeks ago at one of our campuses, and she was in 5th grade. She's 11 years old. And she asked me this question. She said, Miss Beth, will I have bad thoughts in heaven?
Great question.
Wow.
I was like, this is deep. Like, she comes over to me in the room, and I sat there and I was like, okay, I'm going to respond to her, and I'm going to respond with scripture. I said, you know, I'm really confident that the book of Revelation tells us when we get to heaven that God's going to wipe away every tear from our eyes. I said, and then Isaiah 11 tells us, you know, that the earth will be filled with the knowledge of the Lord as the water covers the sea. Like, we're neither going to harm nor destroy on all of the holy mountain. I said, so I'm really confident, Old Testament, New Testament, when we are in heaven, we will not have bad thoughts. Yeah. And I felt so proud of myself.
Yeah. Follow-up question?
Follow-up question. Then she says to me, well, what will heaven be like? I'm like, oh gosh, okay, here we go. And I said, well, heaven is going to be a lot like Birmingham, except without sin. I said, it's going to be like the garden in Genesis 1 and Genesis chapter 2. I said, we are going to rule and reign with God. There's going to be a new heaven and a new earth, and everything's going to be perfect because there won't be any sin, there won't be any sickness, there won't be any death.
Oh, gosh.
She's like, okay. And then she asked me this question, will the tree be there?
Oh, wow.
Right? And I looked at her and I said, that is a brilliant question. And I said, I do not know.
Yeah.
I said, but I am so proud of you that you are thinking this deeply. Yeah. I said, and one day we're going to discover that.
Yeah.
I mean, but like, don't say you don't know. Don't say you know when you don't know.
Yeah.
But to tell you the depth of what they're processing.
Yeah.
Like that's real.
Yeah.
She's just the kid that was brave enough to come have the conversation.
Yeah.
Is your team ready to thrive? Do they have the resources and clarity that they need to succeed? In our team coaching sessions, we provide the tools and principles needed to drive health and growth, and most importantly, clarity in your organization. We believe that clarity brings the confidence to lead effectively. So many times we're too close to the problems to see them correctly. And through coaching, we're able to bring objectivity and no emotional attachment to help you see your organization clearly. Together, we'll develop a strategic path that empowers your team to implement best practices and take on new challenges with confidence. Let's unlock your team's potential. Want to learn more? Head over to sidecarleader.com/coaching and let's talk about your goals and how we can help you accomplish them.
Anyway, that makes me excited.
Just recently, I was driving down the road talking to my middle child. He's 13, just turned 13. And he was asking me, actually we had Spotify playing, we were listening, he loves music, he loves old school like Johnny Cash, Merle Haggard, all that stuff. So he's listening to some of that, and he reaches over and he turns it all the way down. He says, Dad, can I ask you a couple questions? I was like, oh Lord, where's this gonna go? And he was asking me really good theological questions. And I was just proud of him, and there was like one or two that I was like, that's a great question, man. I don't know the answer to that, but let me go do a little research and we can try to figure it out, And it started with some surface questions, and then they got deeper and very thoughtful. And by the end of it, we're having a conversation because when he was younger, he was baptized, and he told me, he said, Dad, I realized I was only baptized because my older brother got baptized. And he was like, it wasn't true for me.
Wow. And
I was like, wow. This is an incredible conversation. I said, well, what are your thoughts about that now? And so it just kept us going to a point of I told him, I was like, I'll baptize you whenever you want to. He goes, I'm not ready yet. And I said, well, do you want to follow Jesus? Do you want to, he goes, I'm thinking about it, but I want it to be real for me, not just because my older brother did it.
Yeah.
And as a pastor and as a dad, I'm sitting there thinking, because we have about 10 more minutes till we get home. Did I tell you this?
Yeah.
We got like 10 more minutes till we get home, and I'm thinking, I got to close the deal. The deal. And I felt the Holy Spirit say, wait. I'm speaking to him. He has questions. This is a process. This is a journey. Don't rush this. And circle back with him when you get a chance, and just ask him, do you have any more questions for Dad? And so it's funny that you're saying that it makes sense that the studies are saying that, because I'm experiencing that as a dad, as a parent with my own son,
Yeah,
yes.
That's
no,
great.
It's so real. That's
exciting.
That's exciting because I think Alpha, one, there's some research that says like 74% of them in America right now are very open to spirituality. Yeah. Like they are very curious.
They're seeking.
Seeking, and even in the young age, they're seeking what's true. They're seeking a spiritual experience. So that's incredibly exciting. The dangers of some of that is we've got to land discipleship and theology correctly, because they're also, even ones that identify as Christian, are exploring, some witchcraft. other mediums of things that are very demonic and not right, because they are so spiritually open.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting, because they're going to be so spirit led, but they're going to need to be so grounded in the word and theology. And like, we're sitting here in our church talking about catechism, and this is what this generation is going to need. Spirit led and deeply rooted.
Did you ever see it was Tim Keller, the late Tim Keller, him and his wife, they did, it's like a little...
The New City
Catechism.
Yeah.
Any thoughts on like resources like that?
I think resources like that are incredible. And even with the work that I'm a part of with One Hope and some of our ministry partners, even reimagining, we did that with the Feed, with the youth ministry, where we made a modern day catechism for students. And we're even dreaming about that now for what would a modern day a catechism look like in the children's ministry space, just to give like parents and churches like a framework of what should a child understand about God's story. You know, what would be their understanding of the meta narrative of Scripture. And I think it's we're having fun conversations about all these things.
Yeah, that's really
amazing.
good.
I'm curious with the next generation, is there anything that you're seeing in terms of like attention span that they have and how you might be addressing that within the classroom on a Sunday morning?
Yeah, so like my kids grew up with like an iCarly generation or SpongeBob. You know, like they were an episodic. Like my children are 27 and 24, so you grew up with episodes. You watched a 30-minute show on television. This generation watches 5-minute YouTube videos and even like micro bites. And so for sure, it's like we know they can pay attention. We don't want to cater to that. At the same time, we do design our experiences around conversation. So for us, the way we like to teach is we're going to present something for 5 minutes, and then we're going to talk about it for 5 minutes. And then we present another thought for 5 minutes, and then we talk about it for 5 minutes. And that's our rhythm, is everything is done in 5-minute increments.
That's cool.
And it's like, here's a thought. Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Here's a thought. Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
And
that
works really well for us.
Yeah. Cool.
That's awesome. I want to shift gears for a second.
Sure.
I respect you so much as a leader.
Same, my friend.
I mean, for many different reasons. But I've watched, and we kind of led off with this, just like you have such a confidence, but wrapped in humility, and it's an awesome thing to witness, to see as a leader. And so I'm kind of curious because I know that we have a lot of females that we end up talking to, whether it be coaching or reaching out through DMs or whatever, that's asking these kind of questions. So I want you to speak to it because I trust you, respect you, believe in you. You have so much wisdom. So you've probably, I'm guessing, in leadership, have been in spaces, leadership rooms that are predominantly occupied by males.
For sure.
Right? Mm-hmm. So how have you managed that, navigated that, maintain that confidence and with humility, like speak to that some, because that's a lot. That is, unfortunately, that's a lot of spaces and leadership spaces that are predominantly men, not just in the church, in the secular space, corporate world. That's a lot.
Sure. Yeah. I think I don't ever try to make it about my gender.
Yeah.
I think we have to put identity in the correct order.
Yeah.
So
let's talk about that.
I'm Beth, child of God. You're Jason. You know what I mean? You're like, I think sometimes we can, men and women, we can overinflate one component of who we are and underestimate like the primary. I'm an image bearer.
Yeah.
I'm made in the image of God. And I think when it comes, I appreciate that's probably incredibly gracious and may not be fully accurate, but I do think I try to approach every room. My posture in every room is I believe that every room I go in, I have something to give.
Come on, that's great.
Every room.
That's a mindset.
Because I wouldn't be in this room right now if I didn't have something to give you.
Great.
Yeah.
I also know in every room I enter, at the grocery store, with the lady that's at the deli, anywhere I am, I have something to learn.
Yep.
That's great.
Every room I enter, I have something to give and I have something to learn.
You should just drop the mic
fantastic.
right now.
Every room. Every encounter with every human being, they are made in the image of God. I have something to give to them because I am unique. I'm the only one of my kind. There is something about, there's a quote that says, there is something about you, like there's something about who God made you to be that reflects a uniqueness of who God is.
Yeah.
Right? So there's something about you that shows something about God that only you can show.
That's great.
Right? And that's true of every human being. So every person I meet, I have something to give them. Every person I meet, I have so much to learn from them. So when I step into spaces, I'm not thinking, I'm Beth, I'm a female.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, I'm Beth, I have something to give in this space, and I have so much to learn.
That is great.
And honestly, that has just grounded me, where it is rare that I'm walking into a place thinking I might be the only girl in the room. Now, that's not to say I haven't had those moments or those thoughts, but I think if we drive with that, that limits so much of what we could give or what we could learn.
Yeah.
Like, and I think that's true for males as well. And sometimes if they're thinking too much, I appreciate the men in my life who have not made everything about my gender.
Yeah.
I would
great.
not be who I am as a leader if I didn't have men in my life who saw me first as Beth, child of God, who has something to give and something to learn.
Yeah.
And that has made all the difference.
Man, that's
That's fantastic.
What if your team had a clear roadmap for the next 12 months on what was most important, complete with objectives, key metrics, owners, and deadlines? And not only that, but also the accountability to see the plan through. Through our team planning offsites, we're able to help you unlock and identify where you are, where you want to go, and how to get there. With a focus on goals, key metrics, and actionable strategies, we'll build a plan that keeps you on track all year and provide the accountability to ensure that you execute what you planned. If you plan your work and you work your plan will work if it's a good plan. If you're ready to set up your team for success, clarity, and a clear roadmap moving forward, you can go to sidecarleader.com/coaching and let's make your vision a reality.
Oh gosh, there's so many different directions I want to go with
That
that.
that's real though. Oh my
It is real.
gosh.
It's so good. And
Well,
it applies
well-
to so much as well.
I want you to speak to, I mean, you've already kind of said a lot of this, but like there are probably some, not just females, it could just be an insecure male, but people that walk into rooms and they don't have that mindset that you just described. So what would you say to encourage them to get to that place? Are there some little practices? Like I dealt with insecurity as a leader when I was young, just to get up on the stage or platform and teach or preach. And I remember one of the things, it was Pastor Dino that taught me this. He was like, kind of gave me a little prayer to pray before I take those 5 steps.
Wow.
To get up on stage. And I did that forever. And it really was, it was almost like rewiring my brain.
Yes.
Almost like
Yes.
getting a new, fresh mindset. Even like Simon Sinek, he says when he used to get nervous before he'd get up and speak. And he said he realized it was those chemicals are the same ones that make you feel excited. It's kind of no different. So he stopped saying, I'm nervous. He started saying, I'm excited. When people would say, are you nervous about this? He'd say, no, I'm excited about this opportunity to serve these people.
Yes.
And just with
Reframing
just
it.
that little thing is like a new framework. So what would you say to someone that maybe they don't have that mindset yet? What's some practical things they could do to help get them to that place?
So I think for me, it was really understanding who I am and who I'm not in the equation. So I remember one day, I have insecurities. I'm a human being, so many. I can remember driving to work one day and I had this super insecure thought about a situation at work, and I'm feeling insecure. Like, I mean, it is like, the voice is pounding in your head. And to compensate like I do, then I went into a very prideful thought. About, I'm like self-soothing myself with my pride. And I remember I had this image pop up in my brain. I'm very confident it was the Holy Spirit. And it was a coin. And I felt like the Lord showed me that day that pride and insecurity are basically 2 sides of the same coin.
Yeah.
If I'm operating in pride, I'm saying to God, I don't need you. I got this.
Yeah.
If I'm being driven by my insecurities, I am saying to God, what you did on the cross for me is not enough for you to use me. Either way, I have made it all about me.
Yeah.
That's great.
All about me. And so do I have prideful thoughts? Absolutely. Do I have insecure thoughts? Absolutely. But I am trying through the years to learn that when those things come up, put it in its proper place. It's
Yes.
just not about you, Beth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is
That's
great.
so good.
It's just not about you.
Yeah.
Like, go into the room, look for what you can give,
Yeah.
look for what you can learn. It's not about you. It's about Jesus. The things you're good at, he made you that way. It's about him. The things you're not good at, who are you to say he can't use you? He used a donkey. Show up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
That's
stop
fantastic.
making it about you.
I heard there was someone, I don't remember who this was. It's someone that's a very known communicator, massive platforms all over the world. I can't remember who it was though. But they said, someone asked them a question. They're like, do you still get nervous when you go up to speak? And she said, I did. I don't remember if it was Christine Kane or Joyce Meyer or somebody, but they said, I used to get very nervous. And then I realized the reason I got nervous was because it was all about me.
Right.
And they said the thing that flipped for me is I began to tell myself, I'm here to add value to these people and to help them. And that's my assignment. And the moment they began to focus on that, it was like they had such a sense of peace. They're like, I don't really get nervous anymore.
Takes you out of the focus.
Because it's not about me. You know, that's good.
That's great. That's awesome. I have one of our last questions I want to ask you.
Sure.
If you were, you have such great experience. For someone who might be starting a ministry, maybe they're starting a kids ministry at a new church plant or in their first few years, what would be some of the things that you would encourage them to prioritize first? Like there's so much out there that we can encourage someone with, but when you put first things first.
Yeah. I mean, I think first things first are, well, I always ask myself, like, to stay healthy as a leader, I ask myself this question. I try to ask myself every day. Did I have a meaningful connection with the Lord today?
Yeah.
Did I have a meaningful connection with my husband today? Did I have a meaningful connection with my children today? Did I love my team well today? Like, I think really, like, to maintain health when you go to build something or do something, am I connected to what matters most?
Yes.
Like that's first and foremost. Yeah. And that looks different every day, right? But I know in my heart if I'm answering that question, yes or not.
Yeah.
You know, and the rhythms of how that looks and those different things that I know God is asking me to steward and carry, then I need to be able to answer yes to that. I need to figure that out first. And then I think when it comes to building a team or a ministry, always, I think, it's all going to be who you do it with and how you love them. Like, I think my number one job is to look for people. And, oh man, when I think about the people I serve with, I've always told everyone my job as leader is to help the God dreams inside of my team come true. If I do that, like if I look at every single person that serves under my leadership, the people I work with every day in the office, ultimately, if I get to be a part of seeing what God wants to do in their life, and I get to some way be a part of helping bring that to the fruition, I get to be a part of investing in that, Highlands Kids will take care of itself.
Yeah, that's great.
If I love them, if I serve them, if I help them grow, if I cheer them on, if I release them to go teach at Highlands College, it's not about holding people. It's about believing in seeing what God sees them and sees in them and pushing them toward that destiny. If I do that, the ministry will take care of itself.
Yeah.
Right? Now, do I have decisions to make? Absolutely. I was sitting there picking out January content today, of course.
Yeah.
But the forefront is, God, you've given me these people to lead.
Yeah.
How am I serving them? Seeing what do you want to do in Sarah's life? What do you want to do in Bree's life? What do you want to do in Jason's life? God, let me see it so I can help be a part of seeing what you want to happen. I think that's the leader's first job.
Yeah, that's great.
That's so good. Last question for you, and then we'll wrap up. What do you, I ask people this all the time, what are you the most excited about right now?
Oh my gosh. Okay, I'll answer it.
And it doesn't have to be
well, no, this
whatever.
is really good. So I turned 50 last year.
Congratulations.
Just turned 51. I know, I'm just owning it. It's so exciting. And the reason I'm excited about it is because I have these grown children now. I feel like I'm in a new season, if that makes sense. And so my word for this time, I've told Pastor Mark this several times, I just want to be impactful. And I think there's something about turning 50 and even like losing my mom last year, just different like milestone things in life where life is changing. And it has this, I've learned two things can be true at the same time. Like things can be really hard and really beautiful all at the same time. But I love this age and I love this season because I'm looking at my life and I'm thinking, Lord, I want to be the most impactful for the kingdom. And so I'm so open-handed to whatever God wants that to be. But that's the cry of my heart. Like, let me leave it all on the field. Because it's fun to be in this new 50-something season and be like, Lord, use me.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like I'm just getting started.
Yeah. You need to write some books.
You
are a well of wisdom. Yes. And you have so many stories and like you would crush some awesome books just to encourage people, bless people.
Wow.
You have a contagious joy about you. And it's
a passion.
Yeah. I'm not just saying that. It's like you feel it. This has been, I can never say it's my favorite podcast, favorite conversation, because then I'll, offend someone. But this has been one of my favorite conversations that
Come
we've had.
on, mine too.
It's been fantastic.
Thank
been
you
awesome.
so much.
Thank you for being on here.
Thank
We
you.
love you.
Love you guys
I know
so
it's going to be
much.
helpful to so many people, so we're so excited.
One more time, tell people the website for resources, because you guys
Yes.
give away some of the best resources.
Absolutely. So for sure, everything that Church of the Highlands has to offer is at highlandsresources.com. Particularly for those of you looking for kids ministry resources, there's a whole section there under Highlands Kids. I also would want to give a shout out to the research I mentioned with our great friends and partners at onehope.net. One Hope, God's Word Every Child, privileged to serve on their board. They're a key ministry partner with us in championing the next generation. Cannot say one of my best practices is to always be learning from another church and to always be studying research, and could not do that without One Hope. So I would recommend everyone check out their research.
That's great. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.